Why it feels like you're surrounded by idiots. Have you ever been stuck in a conversation where someone passionately argues for something that seems completely nonsensical? Or perhaps they blatantly ignore facts and logic, leaving you wondering, why does it feel like I'm surrounded by idiots? While it's easy to dismiss others as uninformed or plain stupid, the reality is far more nuanced. The truth lies in a blend of psychological tendencies, societal influences, and even our own biases. In this video, we'll explore the key reasons why this phenomenon exists, and more importantly, how understanding it can foster patience, empathy, and maybe even self-awareness. Because, let's be real, while the idiocy around us might never disappear, gaining insight into its roots can help us navigate a world that often feels devoid of common sense. Let's dive in. The Dunning-Kruger Effect. One of the most infamous culprits behind perceived idiocy is the Dunning-Kruger Effect. This cognitive bias leads people with limited knowledge or competence to overestimate their abilities. This explains why some individuals, despite lacking expertise, make sweeping claims or offer overconfident solutions to complex problems. For example, someone with minimal understanding of public policy might passionately claim to have all the answers to global issues. They're not trying to deceive others. They genuinely don't realize how much they don't know. The frustrating irony is that the very incompetence causing their poor decisions also inhibits their ability to recognize their mistakes. Meanwhile, those who are actually knowledgeable often underestimate their abilities because they're more aware of the complexities involved. This disconnect creates a reality where loud, uninformed voices dominate, while thoughtful individuals second-guess themselves. It's not just their fault, though. Our frustration stems from witnessing a lack of self-awareness paired with unwarranted certainty. This can make people seem idiotic, even when they're simply victims of their own biases. Assumptions about intelligence. Another key issue is our narrow definition of intelligence. Many people equate intelligence with specific skills, like logical reasoning or academic knowledge, while overlooking other types of intelligence. For instance, someone who excels at math might struggle with emotional intelligence, while a highly creative artist may find scientific concepts challenging. Intelligence isn't a single trait, but a diverse spectrum of abilities. By appreciating these differences, we can move past the notion that someone who doesn't think or succeed like us is unintelligent. Instead, we can recognize that people excel in different ways and contribute uniquely to the world. Negativity bias. Here's a psychological twist. Sometimes it's not them, it's us. Our brains are hardwired with a negativity bias, meaning we focus more on negative experiences and information than positive ones. This bias was evolutionarily advantageous for spotting threats, but today, it amplifies our frustrations. For example, one bad interaction with someone might leave a lasting impression, while multiple positive encounters fade into the background. We're also quicker to believe negative information about others, and it takes much more positivity to change our opinions. This negativity bias doesn't just affect how we see people, it also makes us overly critical, distorting our perceptions. Being aware of this bias can help us approach situations more rationally and with a balanced perspective. Filter bubbles. Ever feel like you're surrounded by people who don't get it? Blame filter bubbles, the intellectual isolation created by social media algorithms and personalized news feeds. These algorithms feed us content aligned with our interests and beliefs, creating an echo chamber that reinforces our worldview. When we only encounter information that aligns with our thinking, it's easy to see those with opposing views as ignorant or even idiotic. This intellectual isolation fosters an us versus them mentality. Instead of recognizing that differing perspectives can be valid, we dismiss those outside our bubble as uninformed. To combat this, it's essential to actively seek out diverse viewpoints. Not only does this broaden our understanding, but it also reminds us that those we disagree with are human too. Lack of intellectual humility. A significant contributor to perceived idiocy is a lack of intellectual humility, the ability to admit that your beliefs might be wrong. People who lack this trait are overly attached to their opinions, dismissing opposing views as unintelligent or misinformed. They see issues in black and white, with no room for nuance. On the other hand, intellectual humility allows us to accept that the truth often lies between extremes. It fosters open-mindedness and makes discussions more productive. Without it, conversations devolve into arguments and division grows. By embracing intellectual humility, we can move beyond rigid thinking and approach interactions with empathy and curiosity. How to respond when you feel surrounded by idiots. So, what can you do when the world around you feels frustratingly clueless? Here are a few strategies. 1. Avoid dismissing others outright. Instead of labeling someone as an idiot, try to hear them out. You might uncover a perspective you hadn't considered, or at the very least, understand where they're coming from. 2. Practice empathy and patience. Recognize that everyone is shaped by their experiences, and most people aren't acting out of malice. 3. Challenge your own assumptions. Feeling smarter than others could stem from arrogance or bias rather than reality. Take a step back and evaluate whether your frustration is truly justified. 4. Engage with diverse viewpoints. Step outside your bubble to gain a broader perspective. This not only challenges your thinking, but also builds your ability to navigate opposing opinions. 5. Focus on intellectual humility. Accept that you don't have all the answers, and that growth comes from questioning your beliefs. The next time you feel surrounded by idiots, remember that the truth is rarely that simple. Between cognitive biases, negativity bias, and intellectual isolation, much of what frustrates us is rooted in misunderstanding rather than actual ignorance. By approaching interactions with empathy, humility, and an open mind, you can not only navigate these situations more effectively, but also grow as an individual. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. For more thought-provoking content, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.